This is Chicago. At the dawn of the 21st century, Chicago's media was dominated by a handful of major corporations. But a resistance movement arose to free Chicago's media from their clutches. One player in this movement is the Chicago Independent Media Center and its TV show, Chicago Independent Television. The Independent Media Center is a worldwide network of grassroots correspondents committed to using the tools of the media for promoting social and economic justice. You are watching this month's dispatch from the Chicago Independent Media Center.
Chicago Independent Television, a collection of progressive video reports by grassroots media workers produced free from corporate or commercial support or interests. I'm your host, Mike Callis. In this episode, we'll see a short documentary about activists and landowners joining forces to stop the controversial Keystone XL Oil Pipeline. We'll also go to recent protest activities in Chicago, including those supporting the corporate control of food, a proposed buyout of the Tribune company's newspapers, and a commemoration of May Day. Stay with us.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by Coca-Cola, whose logo is stained red by the blood of murdered Colombian labor union organizers. Learn more at killercoke.org. Coke, the drink of the death squads.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. We will now see a short film, Lockdown, about a group of activists and landowners in Texas working to stop the controversial Keystone XL Oil Pipeline.
Each and every year, we become more, not less, addicted to oil, the 19th century fossil fuel that is dirty, dwindling, and dangerously expensive.
A pipeline that would run 1,700 miles long from Canada right across the U.S. to the Gulf of Mexico.
Tar sand is the most corrosive, nasty fuel on the earth.
This pipeline is nothing more than a toxic man-made river being built across our country.
Climate scientists have said if we develop these tar sands, there's so much carbon pollution there, it'll be game over for climate. It's like lighting the fuse on a carbon bomb.
It's going to make a few big corporations an immense amount of money.
We're in rural East Texas right now at the tar sands blockade, prepping for the action camp. It's going to see a couple hundred people show up from across the country to participate in stopping this madness. The tar sands and the Keystone XL pipeline are one of the most ecologically destructive, if not the most ecologically destructive project going on the planet right now.
I have a 5-year-old kid. I want to see a better world for him, and that means a lot less environmental destruction. I want to provide a role where he can look and understand you have to stand up and fight for what's right.
People described it as the most destructive environmental project on the planet. It's impacting a landmass about the size of Florida.
I'm doing the tar sands blockade. I'm fairly new to this type of radical stuff, but obviously these tactics work because we're still employing them.
For the life of this pipeline, Keystone XL said that there would be 10 leaks total. In the first leg of this pipeline, the Keystone XL Pipeline 1, there's been 12 in a year. The connection between what TransCanada is doing to rural communities and indigenous communities is like the same story being told over and over again.
I just come up here to see what all y'all had going on up here.
Well, we are press. That's what we're doing up here. We're live to the internet right now, so.
Oh, I'm well aware of that.
When we're in the trees, this thing's happening. I can tell a police officer, right now people are watching what you're doing.
We have cops that are scaling the wall right now.
This is your action. This is your behavior. Whatever you do from now is what you do. I don't edit it. It's just you.
Are you with the police department? Are you impersonating a police officer? Because that's an offense. What's your badge number?
The police themselves are acting as private security for TransCanada, so despite having their state-issued uniform on. They're actually on TransCanada's paycheck, working as private security.
Are you an actual sheriff of the police department?
You don't know? So anytime anyone goes anywhere near a pipeline easement, the police are harassing them, threatening them, forcing them to identify themselves.
I'm really just nervous and anxious because I don't know what to be nervous and anxious about yet. Like, I really don't know what's coming my way at all. Never been arrested before. I don't really know what to expect. My biggest concern isn't even like me going to jail, it's like my mom like being worried.
There's some very brutal, oppressive police tactics that included torture and tasering. I had to drop everything and join them. This campaign, to me, is the absolute epicenter of what's important in the future.
We want to legitimize direct action as a tactic. Our institutions completely failed all of these East Texas landowners, and they know it. Every single person that was supposed to help them has kind of sold them out, from local officials all the way up to Obama.
We're having a weekend training camp, or whatever you want to call it, to get people trained up so they can bolster their skills to be more effective activists.
We never were under an illusion that, like, we're just going to make this one blockade and it's going to be so awesome and we're going to stop the pipeline. Like, that's not how we win. We need other people to do exactly what we're doing along the whole route.
There are 3 different sort of skill sets we're focusing on: climbing, blockades, and community organizing media section.
So far I've learned like how to scout and plan a direct action. I'm privileged. I come from a middle-class background. I'm white, obviously. I have the ability to get arrested and not face long-term consequences from it, and I feel it's a waste of the privilege if I don't use it. Katniss, who was like did the monopod for like 2 days, like I wouldn't do that. She sat on a monopad, like so like just one pole that was anchored, like 4 different places, and she sat up there.
There's fear there, you know. I don't want to leave my kid. I would prefer not to have to do this.
You can effectively shut down a site for a day just by like locking yourself to a piece of equipment.
I'm here to put my body wherever it must be, to non-violently, peacefully, as a spiritual woman of this planet, implore people to stop this. I'll be wherever I'm needed, and I'll do what's necessary.
Let's say I don't do this, and then everyone else decides I'm not going to do it because I have my job, I have my kid, I have my plastic life. Sometimes it takes some people taking some chances to actually promote some social progression within this society.
Protesters just finished an action camp to get more people involved in the protest, and today they plan to hold one of their biggest actions yet.
We're at base camp. Sort of want to get on the road. You know, there's some anxiety.
That is a lockbox. That is what we will connect our arms to. That is for adhering to my wrist. This will go around my wrist, and I'll be in like that, and then connect to a bolt inside of the lockbox. Not until I disconnect myself, which I can do at any time, will I be able to be removed, or I'm like cut out, which is a big old hassle.
We can't deploy from here, so we gotta move closer. But we're not gonna move so close that we like get their presence.
Firearms.
He's coming! Coming towards you! He's coming!
You need to back up. You are trespassing.
It doesn't take much to jump on top of a truck, and I think that if it was happening at a more regular basis, you know, hopefully they would have to reconsider the work like this if at every corner they turned there was someone obstructing them.
When I got out of jail, it was great. It was just like, oh my God, yay! We like hugged and embraced. The whole step of the way was just like, it just showed that we were supported.
The only charge either of us got was the criminal trespass charge at this point in time. My son, I would think he would understand. I want to model behavior to him, and I'm not perfect, I'm human, but I try to progress as a person, as a human being, to be a better father, a better son to my mom, a better friend to my friends. I hope he can see that there's reasons why I'm doing this. When we feel passionate about something, there are chances of those consequences, but sometimes we have to take that chance, take that leadership role and wish for the best and hope people will follow.
Click, click, click. Queen Elizard gives birth to Rabbit Prince. Click. Rabbit finds water on peach skin. Click. Peach tree gets nuked. Click. Who cares about our roots? Click. I watch TV so I know only what I should know and think as I am told.
I'm Jerry Boyle of the National Lawyers Guild, and you're watching Chicago Independent Television.
Oh, great rainbows and thunderstorms of our Creator's
brainstorms, far and wide
across the world. Our pure water.
Others are at harm. Please be a guide
for the protectors of our waters
and lands. May you break
in parts of your canyon red,
sunset orange, corn,
pollen yellow, seas, oceans,
lakes of blue, and mountain purples for all peoples of each color across the world to defend
our Mother Earth. She needs our help.
For she is our
life, and her water is our blood.
This apple tastes like an apple. However, it cannot birth another apple. I still feel human, knowing that my grandchild will not birth another child.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. Chicago played host to a major biotechnology conference, but local grassroots activists staged a protest to oppose the corporate domination of our food supply. We'll join the protest in this segment.
Hell no, GMO! Consumers have a right to know! Hell no, GMO! Consumers have a right to know! someone want a free organic apple?
This apple is going to be genetically engineered, and it will not be labeled.
So they're going to get an award today for coming up with this biotech apple that never browns. Oh, what is this? What's that? That's McDonald's apples. They put poison on those apples.
Personally, I'm a capitalist. But when capitalism becomes overtakes the government, that's where you start to have fascism. And I would submit that that is exactly what is happening with Monsanto right now in its taking over of government processes.
No! No, stop already! Stop! Oh, no! Oh! Oh, no! Oh, my God! Particular one that never goes brown. They're going to be able to sell that, or they're going to try and market that to McDonald's, school lunch programs, all the folks that do already cut apples, pared fruit, pared packages. And the problem is with that stuff goes brown, and they have to throw it away. Well, they put a chemical on that stuff, and they don't want to have to put too much of this chemical on. So this GMO apple, they think they're going to be able to not put chemical on it and then still market it as more natural. So what happens is this gene turns off a chemical basically that makes it go brown, but it also turns off another property of the apple that of its a natural pest resistance. So they're going to have to use more pesticide now on these apples. But they think they're going to get away with it because they don't have to label it. So that's why we're pushing for mandatory labeling laws, so that we can, people need to have a right to know what's in their food, whether it's GMO or not. So we need a mandatory labeling to do that.
It points to a bigger problem, which is that industries such as bio and the biotech industry that surrounds it have unwarranted and undue influence over our government that they gain through corporate contributions to campaigns. And what we see is that until we require these foods to be labeled, they will continue to make money from unknowing consumers who would not otherwise buy their products.
Genetically modified products are labeled in Europe and in 60 countries all over the world. And companies that sell genetically modified products here in the United States, those same companies sell non-genetically modified products, non-genetically engineered products abroad.
Oh my God! Oh, that part just upset! Oh no! Oh! That's what we're doing today, pulling back the curtain on that so McDonald's can't claim this stuff as a more natural product. They will imply it, they won't say it, we're gonna say it.
Contact your legislators and tell them that the mandatory labeling of genetically engineered food is the first step to a more just food system and greater transparency between the industry and our government.
Hey there, I'm Matthew Filipovich, comedian, cartoonist, and talk show host, and you are watching Chicago Independent Television.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by Walmart. There's a reason we're the world's most profitable corporation. We pay our employees peanuts. Learn more at walmartwatch.com. Walmart. Always low wages, always.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. Two of America's most notorious billionaires, the Koch brothers, are the leading contenders to buy the Tribune's newspapers. This news spurred outrage and a Chicago protest. We'll see it in this segment.
Koch, you're the worst. Time to put the people first. Koch, you're the worst. Time to put the people first. Koch, you're the worst. Time to put the people first.
They're concerned that they're going to be pushing their radical extremist agenda and using the Tribune and other newspapers for the radical platform. and we're here to protect free media and objective journalism.
Well, here today we are basically saying no to the Koch brothers purchasing the Chicago Tribune. Tribune owns about 2 television stations and 8 other daily newspapers that we do not want the Koch brothers to purchase so they can push their white right-wing agenda. Cut the lines in the green! Give us our news meeting! Cut the lines in the green! Give us our news meeting!
Koch brothers have shown again and again that they're going to use different platforms to push their agenda. So, they funded the Tea Party, they funded different think tanks, the Cato Institute, the Heritage Foundation, and this is just going to be another platform for them to push their agenda. And they're pushing this agenda that affects working class America, middle class America, minorities, and it concerns us residents of Chicago. They want to get rid of the minimum wage. They want to defund education. They deny claims of global warming. And this is just, these are ideas not based on facts, and we're protecting investigative journalism and the free press, and we're afraid that if the Koch brothers come and own the newspapers, they're gonna just use it as a way to promote their ideas.
Koch Industries is run by the infamous Koch brothers, billionaires who got rich from oil and who deny global warming. Koch Industries is considered a favorite in the race to buy the Tribune Corporation's newspapers, including the Chicago Tribune and the Los Angeles Times. The public grew immediately furious over the news. It's important to note that the Tribune is being broken up and that the sale is even happening because of grassroots political activism going back at least a decade. The Tribune in 2003 wanted to become a first-tier media corporation by buying a great many more TV stations and newspapers across America. The Federal Communications Commission even passed the media ownership rule changes the Tribune wanted and needed to make this happen. But grassroots activists rallied Americans to what was happening just in time, and the resulting outcry powered a court challenge which overturned the FCC's attempts to overturn those media ownership rules. The Tribune Corporation moaned about its failure on its editorial pages and filed appeals to overturn that ruling. Those appeals failed, and the Tribune had no backup plan. So in 2006, Tribune shareholders demanded an ownership change. They got it in the form of Chicago area billionaire Sam Zell. Sam Zell then led the Tribune into bankruptcy. In 2013, the Tribune finally emerged out of bankruptcy, but the Tribune Company as we know it now is dead. Reports say that the Tribune plans to sell off most, if not all, of its existing media properties, with the newspaper first to go. It's an irony that grassroots political activism played a key role in what could be a buyout of a major American newspaper chain by 2 of America's most hated billionaires. If the Tribune were smart, they would exploit this fact. But why should they empower the public by saying that ordinary people can affect media and policy? That's not to say that the Koch buyout of the Tribune newspapers is a good thing. Far from it. But the buyout isn't a foregone conclusion. For one, the Kochs will now get the opposition of the environmental movement, in addition to the media reform and media justice and labor movements. That's very significant. The environmental movement has been flexing its muscle on climate issues with some success, and it's been the growth of resistance which proved critical in blocking previous attempts at widening media concentration. What's more, a buyout deal could get scuttled in ways we can't yet foresee, but which grassroots political activism could foment, as happened before. Meanwhile, the effects of global warming will escalate, the conservative media establishment will look like a bunch of headless chickens, and a new right-wing maneuver to capture the corporate media will make its biases even less implicit. The game is far from over.
Hi, I'm Vermin Supreme, and whenever I'm watching some sort of moving images on a screen, it's indie media for sure.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by Blackwater, a worldwide leader in security and murder. Learn more at blackwaterbook.com. Blackwater, we kill innocent Iraqis so that you can feel more secure.
Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. We will now hear from participants who took part in May Day 2013 activities in Chicago.
Chicago is going to be huge today. The Immigrant Rights March that's going to happen down at Union Park will probably be one of the biggest we've ever seen. And that's the real message of today, to support the rights of immigrants and workers and make sure everyone's treated fairly.
We hope everybody will study the history of May Day, because it is the history of the U.S. working class.
We want to pass H.R. 676, the Expanded and Improved Medicare for All Act. So it would automatically enroll every person who lives in this country in Medicare from birth to death, and it would cover 100% of all care. It would be financed by a progressive tax. The health insurance industry would not be allowed to sell health insurance for anything that's covered under the national plan. So by getting them out of the financing of health care, we would save more than enough money to provide for everybody and to do a better job than we're doing now.
Pretty much what's been going on with all the mass deportations currently right now, and pretty much how they have no status and they're trying to fight pretty much to get a voice right now. So I'm here pretty much just to show support pretty much for the fact that they deserve to be citizens in the United States.
Those that are being discussed in Congress are a hoax. What we need is full rights for immigrant workers, an end to deportations, no E-Verify, stop the militarization of the border. We welcome workers from all over the world to come to this country. I believe it strengthens the working class, it educates us, and it helps us to fight better.
This is International Workers' Day being celebrated all around the world, and this is the place that it was all born. 1886, fight for the 8-hour day, and we're carrying on that fight.